Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Looking for your business brand? Well, listen to our guest, Nadia Finer, author of Little Me, Big Business. Nadia, thanks for being with us today.
Hey there, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And I know you mentioned in your book, Little Me, Big Business. Part of that is built around that youthful voice you have, right?
Yeah, it is. That's true. And you can all probably tell by now. So we will just, we'll embrace the elephant in the room and just acknowledge the fact that, yes, I sound very young, and maybe on a daily basis somebody suggests I go into cartoon voiceover work.
Well, not that. No, we want your business advice today because that's a great book. And as I said to you, some of the ideas there's many friends I'm going to pass it on to because they can really learn a lot from this book. You begin by saying, stop thinking small. Is that something that we all suffer from if we're setting up our own business or a partnership? Do we think too small rather than too big?
Yeah, I think there's a tendency for us to keep ourselves small, particularly when we're working alone. There's, the image of the solopreneur working on their kitchen table by themselves with local clients, selling their time for money, and just kind of keeping themselves busy. And I think there's a tendency for us to fall into that trap when we're on our own, and particularly when you combine that with a tendency to doubt ourselves and feel a lack of confidence around our own abilities. And those things mixed together end up with us playing rather smaller than I think we're capable of. You
mentioned that you used the word playing at business. By that, do you mean that you were just taking it too easy? You weren't striving enough, like you could play a game, but maybe you're not really trying to win and not going big enough? Was that what you're implying?
I think for me that meant that I was keeping myself busy. So although I had clients, when I first, this was when I first became a coach all those years ago, I'd head off into my local town and meet up with a client, maybe charge $100 for a session. I'd buy coffee and lunch for us, and then I'd wave them off into the distance afterwards and feel really smug and happy with myself that I'd had a great time, and then I used to go and spend all the money I'd just earned on the way home in the shops, and that's basically the definition, isn't it, of playing at business, where on the outside you have clients and it's all okay, but the reality is you're just sort of occupying yourself.
And I think a lot of us do that. I mean, we think we're lawyers, accountants, architects, and by title we are, maybe, entrepreneurs even, but either we're playing at it, as you said, just kind of taking it nice and easy and enjoying it, but not really maximizing and optimizing the use of our time. And you even say that you have to explain this to me, you were scared of your superpowers. Now, what does that mean? Do you have some superpowers we don't know about?
I think for me, that comes down to embracing who you really are. So just quickly, before we go into that, just to touch on the idea again of playing at business, for me it was about not necessarily hustling until you're exhausted, because I'm not a fan of that either, but it's about boundaries and structuring your business so you're not just selling your time and keeping yourself busy. So once I started to do that and treat it like a business, that was when things really turned around. And also, I decided to stop comparing myself to everybody else, and I decided to stop hiding the thing that made me different and unique. And as we mentioned earlier, it's my voice, the thing that makes me stand out from other people. And the trouble was, it's a kind of double-edged sword. So sounding like this has always affected me and made me feel really self-conscious and a bit embarrassed. And it's held me back because I was scared or worried about, speaking in public. I was even afraid of phoning some people. If I didn't know someone, I wouldn't phone them because I would be sort of concerned that they laugh at me. So you can imagine that held me back in terms of business and stopped me from being visible. I was hiding behind my brands and my businesses. And it wasn't until I really embraced the thing that makes me different that things went to the next level. So I think we all have that within us. We all have a superpower. We all have something about us that's special or unique, and it's not necessarily our voice, because that would be weird, but it could be the way you work, or your story, or the way you dress, or the things you believe in, or the stuff that you're interested in. It could be anything, really, and I just feel like it's such a shame that we all tend to kind of try and conform. I think at school we're taught to try and fit in, and then it's drummed into us in work as well to not, not be too different, not to challenge the status quo. And then when you start your own business, there's that tendency too to compare yourself to everyone else and be more like them.
But you actually
so
set
boring. Yeah.
You set your own brand, and by using those qualities that are distinctively you, that's your brand. And if I remember, you realized how good you were at coaching, and then you went out and really got going with it and coached people and worked with them. And obviously this book is a great example, because I think anybody who has their own business should read it. It's not difficult to read. It's not complicated, but some basic things that if you just follow what Nadia says to our audience, oh my gosh, you're going to jump the income anywhere from 25 to 100%. And that's significant if you're your own boss and you want to give yourself a raise. Nadia, at this point, we like to remind our audience that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today our guest is Nadia Finer, Finer. She's the author of Little Me, Big Business. And Nadia, while we're saying that, where can we get this book, and is there a website that people can learn more about you?
Yeah, sure. So my website is nadiafiner.com, originally titled. And the best way to get my book is on Amazon, I would say, just because you definitely know it will be in stock then. So yeah, super easy to get hold of. And I hope that it's useful and informative, but also I think it's funny and entertaining. I don't like to write things that are really dry and boring because I know nobody will finish reading it. I like the idea that you can curl up with a blanket and a cup of tea and get it read in an evening and take lots of notes, and then it'll change the way you run your business forever.
And you put in case studies throughout the book, which makes it more interesting, and also it helps us identify with how different people do things, the mistakes they may have made, and how a small change can make all the difference. I think there was someone in the book, if I remember, they were kind of, I guess, timid or reticent about asking for more business, and one day they just said, the heck with this, and they called people that they wanted to work with, and two of them agreed, and they went on to work with those people and become very successful. Am I correct? I think it was Erin, and was that the person?
Yeah, that's right. She's an artist. I've included lots of case studies of my clients, people who are like you, who have a business, who are starting a business, and who maybe struggle with fear, with confidence issues, with just the challenges of being on your own and how to scale. So I've included lots of case studies of people in different fields who I've worked with to show that you're not alone, and that actually if you embrace these simple strategies, it can make a really big difference in your business pretty quickly, I would say. So, I've worked with people this week, some of the members of my academy called the Profit Pack. One person, she told me that she increased her income by 10 because she fixed her packaging and her pricing, and somebody else doubled their prices and got 2 new clients at the higher price. So I'm really fascinated by pricing. I think we go in too cheap because and I was giving a talk last night, and again, people really struggle with pricing. They feel like pricing, it's a reflection of how you feel about yourself. So if you're feeling a lack of confidence or you doubt yourself, you feel like you should be cheap.
Now, you mentioned, Nadia, you mentioned that fear holds us back. And I guess we all have fears no matter what. We're going to be rejected. We're not good enough. We're not smart enough. We don't know everything about the product. Can I handle a big order, whatever that might be? Maybe for someone who makes pies, a big order might be 3 or 5 pies or 50 pies, whatever it, depending on the type of business. Do you have any recommendations how we can get over these fears or a way to get around them?
Yeah, there's lots of things you can do to get over your fears. Firstly, understand that it's just normal to have them because you're doing something exceptional. Not everyone's cut out to run a business or start a business, and the fact that you're doing it means that you're pretty special. And it's a roller coaster journey. It's full of highs and lows, and that's kind of part of the fun. So when we feel fear, it's kind of tied up with excitement. So I try and reframe my fear and think of it as nerves or excitement rather than fear.
Oh, I like that.
It's kind of part of the process, right? And if you didn't have it, you'd be bored.
I was just thinking the exact same word. If we didn't have some changes, it's like looking at a pleasant lake. It's a nice view when we pass it. But if that's all we could do all day and that lake didn't move and it just reflected the items around it, it really would be boring. And I don't think most of us could last more than an hour, if that. And we'd probably sleep for half that hour, if not more. But there's some excitement. And to make a try at something and then the victory of whether it's making the sale or developing a new client relationship or a new product, that's excitement. And that's just what you said. So I think
it is exciting. And I think the other thing that I try and think about is, and this was a quote which came to me, you can read about this in the book, but when I was really at the early stages and deciding how to position myself, a quote came into my mind, and I hope it helps you. It's by Joseph Campbell, and he said, "The cave which you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." And I love that quote. It always gives me goosebumps when I say it, because for me, my little voice was in the cave. So when I embraced my little voice, the thing I'd been hiding from, the thing I was afraid of, when I decided to go all in and face up to my fears and really leverage that thing and amplify it, that was when great things happened. And so often the thing we're afraid of doing or facing up to, that's actually the kind of the secret. That's the key to our success.
And Nadia, we always tell our listeners that if they want to be successful, they have to take action. Now you've just taught them how to get around the fear, turn it into an excitement, which we all like, we revel in, and even the worst of us are probably going to win with that excitement some of the time, whether it's even the best baseball hitters hit three times out of 10, which is 300, and we glorify those people. That means they're making out 7 out of 10 times. So even if we can come close to that, 1 or 2 out of 10, we're going to have a pretty successful business. Nadia, at this point in the show, we have to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success. My name is Bill Horan. The show is produced at the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll be right back after this brief break.
I'm a college student and could use advice about my student loan.
I had to leave school and go to work. Now I have to pay back student loans for a degree I don't have. Fortunately, I found assistance.
Back in college, I figured they wouldn't lend me more than I could easily pay back. Boy, was I wrong. Thankfully, I got the help I needed to pay back my loan in full.
Sound familiar? The good news is that student loan repayment options are available. We're the NFCC, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, a nonprofit organization with member offices nationwide that provide comprehensive financial reviews and student loan counseling. NFCC certified consumer credit counselors provide one-on-one financial counseling and can help you evaluate options for making student loan payments, reducing interest, debt consolidation, or even loan rehabilitation. Call 877-406-6322 or visit us online at studentloanhelp.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Nadia Finer, author of Little Me, Big Business. Nadia, you talk about ideas, and you say we should write down all of our ideas. Why is that so important?
Well, I have a lot of ideas, and I know people I work with do too, and they can kind of spew forth and uncontrollably, like you could keep having ideas, more and more ideas, and it becomes really difficult to focus when you've got these ideas coming out of you. And I think if you don't write them down, they tend to swirl around in your brain and they influence the decisions that you make when you're trying to focus on something else. So write them down, get them out, put them somewhere safe, and then you can continue to focus on your business, and then you've got a whole bunch of ideas ready for later when you're ready to do some, creative thinking or come up with new things. You've got a whole bank ready and waiting for you. But at least you've been able to get on with what you're supposed to be doing rather than being distracted and randomly buying domain names and starting new projects.
I actually do that, and I actually have a book. I think it's 20 lines to a page, and each date I put a date. And some days there's nothing there. So other days, though, I do fill it in. There's something, either a to-do list or an idea that I want to follow up on. And for me, it makes it a lot easier because instead of forgetting about it or putting too many things in my mind and I'm going to forget something or put it in the back of the mind, it's right there. And I have to address it, or just seeing it, I'll say to myself, gee, that really wasn't a good idea. What was I thinking? Or it might be a really good idea. And then I expand on it and do some other things. Now,
exactly. Yeah, because the thing is with an idea without action is just a thought, really. So the important thing is that we actually focus on one thing at a time and we make it happen. And then we give it a proper chance of succeeding. Whereas if you're constantly jumping around from one thought to the next, there's a tendency for us never to actually action anything, and it holds us back from succeeding at anything.
And I like that, and I'm going to repeat what you said for our audience. An idea without action is just a thought. So if we're driving around or we get an idea or just sitting at home watching the TV or listening to the radio or doing the dishes, jot it down. It can't hurt. Nadia has gone through this. She's a business coach. She's very successful. She's written the book, Little Me, Big Business. And just see what happens. Maybe you decide just for fun to see if you want to expand on that idea. How would it be if you opened up your own bakery, cupcake shop, a restaurant, whatever you're thinking of, and maybe all of a sudden the pieces come together, and that's exactly what you're looking for. Now, Nadia, in your book, you mentioned something called the Pareto principle. And tell us, first of all, what that is, because I think we've all heard of it, but we may not know the name. And then how does it apply here, and how do you use it?
It's the 80-20 rule. So that means that if you focus on the 20%, it will have a huge impact rather than the 80%, essentially. So I would suggest using it in different ways. Through, your daily tasks, focusing on the 20%, the most important things that need doing, and they'll have the biggest impact on your success. And you can, I tend to do planning around my to-do list and look at the most important things that need to be done and push the rest to one side. So
I like that. The 80-20 principle, I guess, is what we know it as. And really 20%, what do they say, 20% of our business comes from, or 80% of the business comes from 20% of the clients. Yeah. So focus on the important matters, the important clients, the action steps that we want to take. that's going to get us ahead much faster, whether it's ahead means more sales or a promotion or just getting whatever goal we're looking for. Now, there's something else you say, and I think everybody, if they haven't been writing things down, this is one it's almost so obvious, but we forget to do it. You said in your book, do what works best.
I know, I did think when I wrote that, my God, that's so obvious.
It's so obvious, but we don't do it. We beat around the bush. We try to do things with 3 distractions going on, and then we mess up all of them. So where did you come upon this, and how did it work for you?
Well, it just strikes me that, because I work with a lot of clients in my profit pack and one-to-one, I feel like people don't review what's working and what's not working. So, and it's a sort of form of procrastination to keep coming up with new things to try instead of looking at what you've been doing and seeing what's working. So, for example, you might find that, and I hope this isn't so obvious that people are going to be kind of slapping their foreheads and going, oh my goodness, so obvious. But I think it's just about taking the time and looking at things that you've done and stop doing the things that don't work, first of all, and focusing on the things that do work. So, for example, if you're maybe, you find that when you give a talk, you get a new client or you get a whole bunch of new clients, do more talks. Don't try and come up with a whole bunch of other marketing ideas that that distract you from the thing that's actually working. Give the thing that works more emphasis in your business. It's so blindingly obvious, and yet I think it's just having the discipline to look at what you've been doing, reviewing, well, this worked, this didn't work. If it didn't work, what do you need to tweak? Or is it something that you just don't enjoy or doesn't work for your clients? And then you just stop doing it, because the definition of madness is to keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again.
Exactly. And Nadia, we just want to let our audience know, if you like what you're hearing and you're enjoying the information from Nadia Finer, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. I'm Bill Horan, your host, and today we're speaking with, as we said, Nadia Finer, Finer. She's the author of Little Me, Big Business. And if you were thinking about opening up that business, but you're thinking about it, and all of a sudden you're thinking about it for 2 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe this is the exact time that you should do it. Maybe the universe is telling you by bringing Nadia to you, let's get going, let's do something. And if you missed part of the show, you can catch the information. You can listen to it again on nccradio.org. There's podcasts on there of all the Secrets of Success shows. You can hear what Nadia said, and if you missed some of the quotes and some of the good ideas, 1 or 2 good ideas can propel your business to get it started. Or if it started maybe floating along, as Nadia said her business was, this can propel you ahead and get things going. Nadia, is there a website people can go to if they want to find out more about Little Me, Big Business?
Yeah, sure. So head over to my website, nadiafiner.com. There's info about the book. You can watch videos, listen to my podcast, download some cool, useful things to help you, because I just feel so passionately that if someone has an idea in them for a business, or they feel compelled to become a Lone Ranger, then I want to help you to do it. And rather than people bottling up their ideas and not taking action, or starting a business and then kind of getting stuck, I just really want to help you to create the kind of life that I know you're capable of, and I know that it's going to be a brilliant thing when you have that freedom and you can have time with your family and time to do fun things, and you can make the kind of money that you deserve doing that.
And I think it's not just the money. And I mean, of course, we all want to make more, but the feeling that we're successful, we are doing something that we do well, that we enjoy, and we're good at it. And your book really makes it so easy. You break through a lot of the forest and you get right to the meat and potatoes, and you talk about the main things that'll do it. And really, I've enjoyed it. I think I told you before the show, this was a book that impressed me. I saw this and I wanted to get you on the show. I'm glad we're getting a chance to talk. And tell us about how many people. Now, you work with a lot of people. Do they all have goals? Do they write them down, or is that a problem?
I make them write them down.
You do? You're tough. All right.
Yeah. Well, I think, so the way I work with people is, well, you can tell I'm not, like, really aggressive in my style. I'm kind of gentle and kind, but I do sort of make people do things. So it's really important to have goals. I try and ensure they're number goals, even if it's related to doing good in the world, say, or having an impact on your community or helping lots of people. Whatever it is that really gets you going, that's great. But then we need to make sure that we have a clear idea of the numbers that we need to achieve to make that happen. And the thing I'm good at is helping people simplify things. So like you said, the book is kind of meat and potatoes. Everything's really straightforward. I feel like in business there's so much nonsense and fluff that we just don't need, and people try to overcomplicate things because it makes them feel important.
Well, and that's really so well put. I think we all do that. We want to feel important, so we use bigger words than we need. We use words, maybe we don't even understand them. We try to make a big show out of something. And yet, if we could do it in 15 minutes rather than 45 minutes, we could make that many more sales a day, that many more products, that much more business. And that's what I love about your book. You get cut right through all of the flack and get right to the essence of things. And anybody starting a business realizes if you're wasting time, you're wasting money. And if you get one or two ideas just from Little Me, Big Business, it's more than paid for itself, and it's probably the best investment our audience will ever make. It's better than any stock because you're not going to get the return that you would doing that. So, Nadia, I want to thank you. You gave us a lot of great ideas to work from, and I want our audience once again to know our guest was Nadia Finer, Finer. Her book is Little Me, Big Business. She's a business coach. She puts a lot of great ideas and case studies in here. And Nadia, tell us the website, please, once again.
Yeah, if you want to find out more about me, it's nadiafiner.com.
And Finer is spelled Finer. If you're starting a business, do yourself a favor. Learn from Nadia's lessons as they're spelled out in Little Me, Big Business. Nadia, thanks so much for being with us. We'd like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we'll continue our journey to success.